battle here against Jacob Baugh, one of our coverage brethren on the left, and Jacob Baugh, number 14 in our Player of the Year race. He is on the right. It's actually my first time covering a match for Ryan, so this should actually be a lot of fun. And we will not ridicule you too much, Ryan. I'm sure you will go back and watch this, and we will be very kind.
Don't say we.
I will not ridicule you too much, Ryan, as here's a scalding dart.
I reserve the right to handle this, however.
That's true. You can literally do whatever you want, and I cannot stop you. It's a watery grave here for Overturf. And we'll see if he's got a Delver to start. Now, one of the things actually Ryan told me at the beginning of the tournament, and also he stopped by after a couple rounds in, he's got the Ancestral Visions in the sideboard this weekend. And he's just like, I'm not sure if they're good. Every time I sideboard them in, I've been winning, but I don't really like them very much. He's just like, it just doesn't make any sense, but I'm going to keep doing it until it doesn't work.
It makes a lot of sense to me. Game one, you're trying to be a pretty streamlined, aggressive deck, fill up your graveyard as fast as possible, leverage delve cards, etc., etc. Post board, most of your opponents are going to bring in removal spells. Games are going to slow down, and then Ancestral Vision is a little bit more appropriate.
Well, it's clearly working for him. He's off to a great start thus far. You saw Serum Visions. Now you see his hand, Lightning Bolts and all that jazz. Also a Bloodstained Mire over there. As we head back Jacob Ball's way, he's going to sacrifice that Verdant Catacombs, go a little bit lower, and dig out a land.
And, you know, and if I had to guess where Overturf's matchups are a little bit soft across the board, it's probably against the 3-color removal spell decks of the format. Decks like Jund and Abzan that have a lot of answers for decks that don't have that many threats.
Okay.
And Ancestral Vision lines up very well in those kind of games. So, it looks a little unorthodox since you see 4X in the main deck so frequently, but it doesn't seem that weird to me, and it probably cleans up a lot of Overturf's worst matchups.
Ball's got all the colors of mana. We'll see if he has land number 3 as he draws a card. See a Stomping Ground over there. Looks like a basic swamp as well. So let's go with a basic swamp. And now there's a Liliana. See if this resolves for Jacob. Liliana, obviously a very powerful card. It is a little bit on the downtick nowadays, but Baugh does have 4 copies in his deck, and he's going to tick it up. In response, Overturf is going to cast a Thought Scour. So some cards will go away, and now he'll decide what he wants to discard. His graveyard very full right now. There goes the Steam Vents. Abrupt Decay, the discard there for Jacob. Now Overturf will sacrifice a Bloodstained Mire, so he'll go 1 lower. We'll see what land he wants to dig up as he falls down to 16. I think we might see a Lightning Bolt in the end step here.
Liliana is potentially a card that's poised for an uptick if Kalidas becomes a more popular card in people's decks.
Absolutely. There's a Steam Vents.
But it's not that well positioned against Abzan Company. It's not that well positioned against the fastest decks of the format. So you are right. It's on a bit of a downtick right now.
Terminate the draw. Kolaghan's Command in hand here for Overturf as well. So the big question, of course, is now how does he want to sequence his way through the Liliana that is at 4 and could be working its way towards 5. I mean, he's got double bolt if he wants to kill it, but he might be able to extract some more cards out of Baugh.
For example, he could try to set up something like Snapcaster, my Thought Scour back, untap, and then try to fire in depending on what Baugh's turn looks like.
Yep.
2 bolts is just a lot of resources to expend here.
So we'll see how Jacob wants to play with this Liliana as well. This makes for a little bit of an interesting game of cat and mouse, I would say. First things first, Liliana's going to go up to 5. Both players ready to discard. Polluted Delta, Bloodstained Mire, the discards there for each player. There's a Stomping Ground. And Baugh will just pass the turn back. This is Kolaghan's Command. 2 damage that way, Gurmag Angler this way. Gonna go back to the grip.
Pretty good setup here. Now he can finish off Liliana with a Lightning Bolt and cast Gurmag Angler.
There's lots to like there.
Still has Snapcaster Mage left over.
Yep, there's Bolt. See what's next here for Overturf, if anything. Remember, Ryan is someone who really likes these Delver decks. Delver doesn't see a ton of play in Legacy, but he kind of always stands by playing this kind of strategy. Curious if he wants to go the Angler route now.
Significantly powered down compared to the legacy versions of the
Yeah.
deck. No cantrips, or you have some cantrips. They're not nearly the same power level. No days, no wasteland. So you see a lot less of it in Modern than you do in Legacy.
There's the Angler. Here's a Blood Crypt, then there's the Battlefield tap. Pass the turn back. Terminator will take care of the 5/5 pretty quickly. No real surprise there. You have to imagine Jacob's got a removal spell in hand. It's Jund after all.
He's not casting creatures, and he's playing Jund, so that's all his deck is.
Yeah. Let's see what this is. Dark Confidant, that'll be dying soon.
Yep, don't get attached to that.
Tassiger the draw. There's Lightning Bolts. I'm curious if we'll see Overturf cast the Tasker right now, because he could wait to draw a land so that he can play Tasker and activate it in the same turn, maybe recoup a little bit of an advantage. We'll see. It looks like he's going to be delving away right now and force Baugh to have another removal spell.
Oh, well, Overturf's in pretty good position here if he draws a land anyway, because he has the ability to Snapcaster back Kolagon's command and bring back the Tassiger or Gormag Angler as appropriate. So I like Overturf casting there.
Tarmogoyf the draw.
3 p.m. Standard challenge players, your pairings are being posted on blue paper at the pairings board.
For Baugh, he'll play Tarmogoyf. Rearrange the mana a little bit so he has access to all of his colors. Feels like maybe an Abrupt Decay, Terminate, something like that in hand for Jacob. They'll check the size of the old Tarmogoyf, and oh boy, it looks to be pretty big. As it oftentimes is.
I think it's just instant sorcery land creature.
Okay.
I think it's the usual crew down there,
Might be a Planeswalker down there.
but no sorcery.
Yeah. Well, Terminate in hand, I believe 2 actually in hand for Ryan Overturf. So Tarmogoyf not a problem. That'll bite the dust. For Baugh, you see the Abrupt Decay in hand, and I think a Lightning Bolt too. So that's kind of how these games go. These 3-color decks, it gets grindy.
And I like the patience here from Overturf. I think because the game is so slow and attrition-y, he really wants to go Snapcaster Kolagon's command, gas back up, and beat Baugh's leftover removal spells that way.
Spell Snare takes care of the Tarmogoyf. Mana Leak the draw. Let's head back Baugh's way. Baugh will draw. Didn't get a great look at it. He'll just pass the turn back, however. Overturf will draw. Remand. A little bit of back and forth here for these two players. This is a Kalidas. That's a pretty juicy remand target if you ask me.
I could also see an argument for Mana Leak here because this is a nice spot to remand. You get your opponent's all turn, you get to draw a card. There's an argument for saying, well, I want to next turn be able, if I draw a land, to simply go Snapcaster Kolagon's command, so I'd rather not have to commit my Mana Leak next turn. But that's probably just too good of a spot.
There's Kalidas again. Is it time for one of those 2 Mana Leaks? It looks like it is.
This Mana Leak's not getting a whole lot better.
No, it's really not.
And if you remanded last turn, it's with the intent of Mana Leaking this turn, so.
Polluted Delta here from Overturf. He'll sacrifice that, fall a little bit lower, see what land he wants to dig out of the old deck there. Goes back, goes past a couple basic islands, going to get himself a Watery Grave. I do like the patience, though. Not a rush with Snapcaster Mage. It's all about Kolagon's command here, it appears.
Snapcaster Mage is just the utility and card advantage and power is so strong here that it probably dwarfs anything that Baugh brings to the table. So just be patient and let Snapcaster Mage carry the day.
Oddly enough, one of the things I like that Ryan did that turn was not cast Serum Visions.
Well, this is the line he wants.
Yeah.
If Baugh did something, he's got his Terminates and Snapcaster Mage and Mana Leak available. And if Baugh does nothing, he wants to do this.
Yep. Kolagon's command is going to make Baugh discard a card. There goes Verdant Catacombs, get back Tassiger. Now it's time to untap and draw. Picked up a copy of Thought Scour. Here comes Snapcaster Mage. Abrupt Decay will take care of that. Now, is it time for Tassiger? A lot of cards in the graveyard here for Overturf, so he can control his delving.
On top of that, he has 5 mana now, so he can go Tassiger with 4 mana up and activate the Tassiger. Even if Baugh has a Terminate effect, Overturf's at least getting something on the way out the door.
This is what Grixis is all about. Grind you down.
And I love Overturf's approach to the match so far. He knows that this is going to be a long slugfest, especially with Baugh not casting a lot of creatures. His hand just has to be removal spells. So just commit yourself to playing the card advantage game as strong as you can and hope that you have enough Terminate Mana Leak style cards to answer any top decks Baugh happens to have.
A Tasker Activations will reveal a Tasker and a Spell Snare, a couple other cards down there, and Remand, a Snapcaster Mage, I believe. Lightning Bolt as well. For Jacob, his hand right now is a Slaughter Pack, which he can't cast. No legal targets as he gives Overturf back a spell. along with a Verdant Catacombs and a Lightning Bolt. So Tasker is going to dominate the battlefield, at least for right now, as it comes across for 4. Baugh will fall down to 15. And Overturf will just pass the turn back comfortably. For Baugh, Raging Ravine the draw. If you're going to draw a land, might as well be a creature land, but it's not great right now as we head back Overturf's way in just a moment. In the meantime, he'll activate Tasker again. And Delver, Scalding Tarn of the reveals. Delver is the card that Baugh will give Overturf. Ryan is dangerously ahead on cards.
This is sort of, you know, some Magic 101 lesson. If you're playing a non-blue control deck against a blue control deck, if your non-blue deck is a bunch of answer cards, your answers better line up the right way.
Yeah.
Because the blue deck just runs so much more smoothly with, you know, cards that answer everything, like Mana Leak, with card advantage, card drawing spell, Snapcaster Mage. It's just very likely your bolts and abrupt decays just don't line up the right way if the game goes on for long enough.
There's a Delver. You saw on the end step there, Ryan did target Baugh with the Thought Scour. So Jacob had to turn over 2 cards. One of them was an Inquisition. Ryan got to draw a card. Then he played his Delver. We'll see if he actually gets the opportunity to use the Delver. But in the meantime, Ryan's going to fire off a Lightning Bolt over to Jacob. Going to make him fall down to 8. Trigger with the Delver. No good, as it was just a Scalding Tarn. Scalding Tarn is the land for turn. Ryan with a boatload of cards in hand. Here comes Tassiger. Baugh will fall down to 4. And we'll see Overturf sacrifice that Scalding Tarn. Gonna fall down to at least 14, maybe less than that. Gonna get himself a basic island. I think we're gonna see a Serum Visions on the way here in just a moment. And we do. So he'll draw. And now it's time to scry 2. Both cards going to go to the bottom. Overturf not interested in either one of those. And he'll pass the turn back over to Baugh. Baugh will draw. Looks like he picked up a copy of Scavenging Ooze. Is it too little too late right now for Jacob? That's the question.
Seems very likely.
Verdant Catacombs going to bring Jacob down to at least 3. Don't think he's going to go much lower than that. There's a basic forest. And now there is the ooze. Remand is going to put that back in Jacob's hand. Overturf will draw. Picked up a copy of Lightning Bolt. That makes it real easy. And that is going to do it. Ryan Overturf is going to win at game number 1 here over Jacob Baugh. Grixis Delver up a game over Jun, and you saw not a rush. Going to be a slower matchup, so you got to really build a lot of card advantage.
Yeah, Ryan's deck is definitely on the aggressive side, but when it became clear the matchup was kind of devolving into a control matchup, Overturf followed suit and played the control game very, very well.
We'll start with the sideboards here. Jacob Baugh will be on the play, so we'll start with his Disfigure, his 2 Duress as a Grim Lavamancer, 2 Feed the Clan, 1 Ob Nixilis Reignited, a Knight of Souls Betrayal, an Ancient Grudge, a Pithing Needle, 2 Kolaghan's Command, and 3 Fulminated Mages.
Kind of an odd sideboard here for the matchup. I could see bringing in the 2 copies of Kolaghan's Command. They're pretty good if the matchup is about speed, and they're pretty good if it devolves into a controlling matchup again. I think there's an argument for the Ob Nixilis if you think the game's going to really slow down. That's a very powerful response to threats like Tassiger and Gromag Angler, assuming it resolves. But, you know, the Feed the Clan, like the really anti-beatdown stuff here, I don't think you can really board it in this kind of matchup because Overturf, as we saw, can play the control game pretty effectively too.
For Ryan, 4 Ancestral Vision, 2 Magma Spray, a Go for the Throat, 3 Counter Squall, 2 Engineer Explosives, 2 Spell Pierce, and a Dispel. He was kind of mocking those Ancestral Visions before. I kind of like him right now.
Bring in all 4 and bring in the Go for the Throat. And if there's room, I think there's an argument for the Counter Squalls as well. But I really like the Go for the Throat and the 4 Ancestral Vision.
It gives you an idea of what both players are working with. Game number 2 going to be underway here in just a moment. In the meantime, we're talking about the StarCityGames.com newsletter. It's free to sign up for. You got Ryan Overturf actually providing some content in there, so it's pretty sweet stuff this month.
Yes, the best of Star City Games content cultivated by Cedric Phillips. Get the latest information on the SCG Tour with a selected SCG Tour match of the week, exclusive deck lists and advice from many of Star City Games' most popular columnists, and an exclusive cardboard crack comic. Best of all, signing up is free over at go.starcitygames.com/newsletter.
Game number 2 about to be underway, in which Jacob Baugh will be on the play. Though he is down a game, he hasn't had that happen much this year. We saw him win an Open earlier this year in Columbus. That's a second Open win on the SCG Tour. Member of Team Lotus is the 27-year-old from Waterloo, Illinois. 8 open top 8s, a certified auto mechanic, which is nice because my car needs a fixin'. Watches around 20 hours of anime per week and plays all types of board games, RPGs, PC games, and card games. So he is a gamer through and through, and a successful one on the SCG Tour.
Can you explain to me go.StarCityGames? We have go.StarCityGames. Whatever.
Yeah.
On a lot of our. Can you explain to me the functionality of the Go?
No.
Like if I just went StarCityGames.com / would I still get there, or would it redirect me?
It's a good question. I don't know. You think I'd be able to answer that, but I can't. I'm basically useless.
Okay.
Basically useless. Maybe it just sounds better. Go.StarCityGames.com.
I don't know. It's a question. What happens if you remove the Go? Do you still get to the website?
I'm sure our wonderful brand manager, who is likely watching, Ray Dill, very talented man, will be able to tell me exactly why that's the case.
Listen, I don't mean to be a pain. I can't.
But I am.
But you know, I've been kind of walking through these promos now for a couple months now, and I want to know what the functionality of the Go is.
Well, we'll have to during the break.
Yeah.
We'll try to get you an answer and then tell the public after the break. That's what I think is really
I'm just trying to do the advertisements as effectively as I can.
You're doing a great job, as always.
You know.
Nobody does it better than you, baby. Trust me. And you know what? I feel like doing another one, so we're going to, because shuffling, watching them do that, it's boring.
Yeah, with Baugh piling over here, wasting everyone's time.
So let's talk
Next ad.
Let's talk about the creature collection, shall we?
Yeah.
Because we've got sleeves, player bundles, play mats, and some of your game night favorites you see here available May 2nd, which means it's available. Mandatory Mentor. That's the wrong slide. Let's try again.
There we go.
There it is. Mandatory Mentor. Go. That's StarCityGames.com/creature collection or Los Tigre. Arr. Arr.
The tiger.
Yeah, I think
Levi. He looks like Cat Levi.
That's not Levi. I think his name is their name.
I'm going to
Stripes.
I'm going to send some photos of Levi to our various producers.
Okay.
So we can bring up slides of Levi.
Oh, so we're going to make this
when
broadcast
appropriate.
about your cat now. Okay.
He's very cute.
Yeah, that sure is. There are no sleeves, play mats, or player bundles of Levi just yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. But we'll have to talk. Your people can talk to our people.
Yeah.
And then those things will sell like wildfire.
Yes.
I know how this works.
And also with these creature collection various bundles here, if you don't order off the website, but you come over to any of our opens or classics, this is also available over at the dealer booth. So check it out.
You got it.
Go to go.StarCityGames.com/creature collection and hopefully browse the website.
How could they possibly forget? This is the go, that's the reminder.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Both players going to keep their opening hands. Here is a Thoughtseize. Ryan will spread it out for us. See, that's what you got to do, Ryan. Now, see, that's your member of the coverage team now. You better spread your hand out or you're out of here. Ancestral Vision, Spell Snare, Remand, Serum Visions, Thought Scour, Mana Leak, Polluted Delta. Kept a one-lander probably based off the fact that he has visions of 2 types.
So this is a fine one-land hand insofar as he's got a lot of looks at land number 2 and Ancestral Vision. The risk with this hand, even setting aside the one-lander, is this is a hand that can get run over by Tarmogoyf.
Yep.
You don't really have an answer to it unless you're willing to leave up 1 mana for Spell Snare. Leaving up 1 mana when you're stuck on 1 land is a pretty big cost. Also possible Baugh here just takes the Spell Snare and then you have a handful of cantrips and 1 land. And if Baugh has just a handful of creatures, that could be enough to force game 3.
Ryan is pointing at the Remand as the weapon of choice. I think,
Remand.
I think that's going to stay in your hand, Ryan. Just a guess. Looks like he's going to go with Ancestral Vision. Kiss it goodbye. Let's go back over to Overturf. Time for him to draw. Land number 2 was not waiting on top of the deck, but a Terminate was, and that's actually pretty useful. So Ryan's going to sacrifice Polluted Delta. We'll see which land he wants to search up. I imagine a Watery Grave on the way, and then a Serum Visions as well. No guarantee, of course. Merely guessing here in the booth.
I think the land to get here is Steam Vents, so if you draw Lightning Bolt, you can just cast it. I don't think there's any 1 black spells that he can draw and cast.
Alrighty. Steam Vents it is. And now Serum Visions with a little flourish. Draw a card will Overturf. Taking a look at 2 cards that are going to the bottom real fast. I don't think Ryan drew a card off this Serum as well, so he's going to get a little bit lucky. Or excuse me, didn't draw land. For Baugh, he does have a Wooded Foothills, also a Raging Ravine too.
And if he plays the Tarmogoyf here, it's already a 3/4 land. No, excuse me, just a 2/3, but still outside of bolt range because no instant in the graveyard currently.
Bolt is an instant, yeah.
Right. So it is safe from lightning bolt should he choose to cast it.
There's Overgrown too. Probably just Tarmogoyf. Maybe Scavenging Ooze. She's going to go with the Goyf.
This one feels pretty straightforward to me.
Ding.
Well, sort of a ding. It's nice to get land number 2, and now he can cast Terminate. But look at his hand. It's still cantrips and mana leaks.
Yeah.
So he's got to play this game of either tapping out and not having mana leak available, or take some hits on the jaw, leaving up mana, and then terminating in a turn. Both of these are pretty tough ways to do it.
Well, I think he's going to have to at least take the 2 here. We're going to fall down to 13 will Overturf. And be able to rep mana leak and remand everything else. And hope that Baugh doesn't play anything, which he doesn't. So he gets out of this turn relatively unscathed, I would say.
Yeah, this is a big win. If Baugh had a follow-up play here, it could be bad news. But now even with Overturf missing his 3rd land drop, it's not so bad. It's got mana leak, it's got Terminate, it's got some tools to work with.
The draw for the turn for Overturf was another copy of Terminate, so we head back Baugh's way. Baugh with a Forest. And now Grim Lavamancer. That'll resolve. Overturf with a Thought Scour. That'll resolve. 2 cards to the graveyard. Overturf will draw another copy of Terminate. He's Terminate flooded once he draws a card. And a Scalding Tarn. That's timely.
I don't know if it's possible to be Terminate flooded in this matchup.
Yeah, against Junt. Yeah. Dark Confidant the draw. Baugh with a Verdant Catacombs. How does he want to use the Lavamancer? Into the red zone or leave it back for an activation? I think that's a decision Jacob is weighing right now.
Attacking with the Grim Lavamancer is a little rough because Overturf can play Snapcaster Mage, flashback a cantrip, and then you want to use a bolt on Snapcaster Mage when, you know, your opponent's got 7 cards in their hand and you've got 3. That's a pretty tough way to do it. If Baugh wants to spend his turn firing up the Raging Ravine, I can buy it because it's not as susceptible to a Snapcaster Mage in this spot. But I think attacking with the Grim Lavamancer, fairly bold here.
Yeah.
Also, 2 is more than 1. There's that.
There's that.
Yeah, you know, so you can deal 2 instead.
Yep.
It's another factor.
Just basic math right there, folks.
Twice as much damage.
Yeah, you are right on it today. I like that. See what comes next here for Jacob. Might be thinking Dark Confidant now.
Now, Baugh seems pretty committed to playing around Mana Leak right now. So I imagine we're just going to say, spend 2 mana on a threat, leave 3 mana up, pass, activate Lavamancer, rinse, repeat.
Spell Snare. See ya. Pass the turn back. Overturf going to sacrifice the Scalding Tarn. See what land Ryan wants to dig out. I guessed wrong the first turn of the game.
If he wants to cast Terminate right now, I would imagine he's getting a Mountain. I don't know if he necessarily wants to fire off the Terminate. But given how tight his hand is on mana, I would imagine he wants to cast it, assuming he still has another answer left over for the Raging Ravine in play.
Yeah, just want to cast your spells, right?
Yep.
There's Terminate. I think we'll see a Lavamancer activation here in just a sec. Yes, sir.
ABC.
Yep.
Always be casting.
There you go.
A always, B, B, C casting.
Yep. Verdant Catacombs and Thoughtseize, maybe. Nope, just the other land. Take care of those. Had to be a little concerned with the graveyard just because of Tarmogoyf. Stuff like that. Back to Overturf. Polluted Delft to the draw. He'll play that, kick it back. Looks like he stabilized things at 10 life. Pretty healthy life total as we head back Jacob's way.
No, the question here is, can he convert those mana leaks into anything productive?
Yeah.
You know, he's sitting on 2. He hasn't had an opportunity to use them. Baugh, to his credit, has done a lot of work here, making sure the mana leaks don't do anything.
They're doing that again here by casting Scavenging Ooze.
And this might be a spot where we see Overturf just cast 2 mana leaks. It may not be getting any better than this.
Well, you can't be too proud to do it because you actually want those cards to do something.
Yep.
You know, Overturf doesn't have cards like Jace, Vryn's Prodigy, for example, to just say, oh, okay, I'll just discard my mana leak, draw a new card.
Yeah, he's stuck with these. He's got to convert into something. The Scavenging Ooze is a huge threat.
Looks like he's going to start with Remand.
Okay, Remand's a safer way to do it because he can still double Mana Leak next turn. But if Baugh wants to follow up and cast something this turn, the Mana Leak's still available.
Another Remand the draw there for Overturf.
Just not used to that Remand artwork.
Yeah, it's a new one. Actually, I kind of dig the new Remand artwork.
I never dig any new artwork.
Okay. Tough crowd. An old school kind of guy. Here comes Scavenging Ooze. Yeah, that's beautiful. Look at that artwork. Big fan. Now, another reason why Ryan wants to take care of this Scavenging Ooze for what it's worth is because he does have a Snapcaster Mage in his hand now, and so Scavenging Ooze kind of trumps Snapcaster Mage's ability to recast spells. So there's Remand again. Ancestral Vision the draw. We might see that on suspend next turn. Serum Vision's the draw. Well, this is a curious situation on what Ryan wants to do this turn.
The line of play that I think I like is suspend Ancestral. Then you can terminate the Scavenging Ooze, should that show up.
Okay.
Then you untap, you have Snapcaster Terminate up. Your Ancestral's ticking down. You still have double Mana Leak, should something big come off the following turn.
It's attempt number 3. That'll resolve.
And again, I would just expect to terminate here.
And that's exactly what we're going to see. Baugh will take a look at the graveyard here of Ryan Overturf and see what Scavenging Ooze wants to pick off, if anything.
I believe Baugh's hand right now has 2 copies of Lightning Bolt, and Overturf is at 9.
Yep.
So Overturf is starting to pull ahead. Board's relatively stable. He's got Snapcaster Mage plus a loaded graveyard, but he can just get punked out by a bolt off the top.
Also the problem here for Ryan is he doesn't have any life gain.
No.
You know, in Grixis deck, sometimes you see Kalidas. Not here for Ryan Overturf. He's a Grixis Delver deck, not a Grixis Control deck like we see players like Michael Majors play. Another Ancestral Vision to draw. Overturf will just pass the turn back with 4 mana available.
And I like that play there from Overturf. He has to make sure that he has access to Snapcaster Mage plus Terminate should Baugh fire up the Raging Ravine. So he can't suspend anything. He can't cast a Serum Vision. Just got to wait.
Perhaps it's Liliana time. See if this resolves.
This might be good enough for double Mana Leak.
Yeah. This is the kind of spell that gets it.
I think so. It's a stable board. You know, it's all Baugh's mana. You don't have to worry about him firing up the Ravine and doing something after the fact. And Overturf kind of just wants to spend his mana so he can free up his mana doing other things.
1 leak and 2 leak. Goodbye, Liliana.
So now if he draws a land off the top, he can suspend the Ancestral or cast Serum Vision and still have access to Snapcaster Mage plus Terminate.
Well, you just drew a copy of Snapcaster Mage. Vision ticks down to 2. We head back over to Jacob Baugh. This is a Scavenging Ooze. Overturf may have a response here.
Yeah, he may have to flash in the Snapcaster Mage right now and target the Terminate before the Scavenging Ooze enters the battlefield.
And with the way he's reaching for mana, it appears that'll be the case. So in response to Scavenging Ooze, Snapcaster Mage will enter the battlefield. It'll target Terminate, then Scavenging Ooze resolves. This is all in an effort to keep Scavenging Ooze off the battlefield so it doesn't mess up any future Snapcaster Mages. And so Baugh will pass the turn back. Now there is that Terminate. And now Jacob's going to remove some cards from the graveyard with the Scavenging Ooze. Presumably.
Seems like you're best served cleaning out the creature removal if you can afford to do it. If not, you might have to just tag the counter spells. You ideally just want to remove an option from Overturf.
A leak is 1. Lightning Bolt's going to take care of Snap. And I'll take care of Snapcaster Mage with the Scavenging Ooze. So Baugh will gain a little bit of life in the exchange. And now we head back over to Overturf. Vision's down to 1.
I'm a little surprised by that line there. I think if I'm Baugh at 16 life, I let the Snapcaster hang out for a little bit and hope to rip off a 3rd bolt. Because the door is starting to shut here on Baugh. At least I feel that way if I'm in his spot with Overturf just sitting on a handful of spells and my hand not amounting to much. And I think that I would have at least wanted to give myself the option, or hope at least, of drawing a 3rd bolt and killing Overturf that way.
Well, here's Liliana. That's in there. 3 counters here for the Planeswalker. You see Jacob's hand. It's a Bolt and a Kalidas. Ryan's ready to discard. Ancestral Vision down. Doesn't need another one of those. Curious to see if Ryan's going to cast a Snapcaster Mage here. Yeah. I like this play. Let's see what he wants to target. Thought Scour. Gonna target Baugh. Verdant Catacombs, Bloodstained Mire in the graveyard. Overturf will draw a card. Untap, now he's gonna resolve Ancestral Vision. 3 more cards on the way, one of which was another Ancestral Vision. Now he'll draw again. Mana Leak. Bloodstained Mire the play. Liliana gonna fall down to 2. But the one thing that's eluding Overturf right now, at least it appears that way, is a large delve threat. Though I mean, he may have found a Tasigur.
Yep, and now it's just a question of is the coast protected enough where he can put in the Tasigur and protect himself against everything he wants to protect himself with his remaining 4 mana. And with Snapcaster in hand plus Spell Snare plus Mana Leak, I have to imagine the coast is fairly clear for him to spend 1 mana on Tasigur.
Looks like he's going to suspend Ancestral Vision and simply pass the turn back. Looking to go even longer.
So patient.
Yeah. Far more patient than us, that's for sure. There's a land. That's land number 7 for Baugh, which allows him to be able to cast Kalitas with 3 mana available to fade a Mana Leak.
Can't feel good, though, about Overturf missing all these land drops and not really playing anything.
Yeah.
His hand's very likely to be nothing but good reaction.
There is Kalitas. Overturf has that Mana Leak staring back at him. Snapcaster Mage as well, an option. All right, up to 3, so Kalitas is in. There goes Mana Leak.
And I think this is where the House of Cards is going to collapse for Baugh. I think he's likely to lose Kalitas and the Liliana and not be able to attack with Raging Ravine next turn.
See what land we're going to search up here. Can't get a basic island.
Though he still has to be mindful of his life total here, and I think he wants to spend 4 mana on the end step.
I think he's just going to get a Scalding Tarn tapped. Thought process, potentially here of I'll just do this on my main phase to kill your creature. Maybe.
If you can afford to do it without taking the 2 points, do without taking the points.
Mm-hmm. I think he's just deciding what he wants to do with the steam events at this stage. He knows that's the land that he wants. It'll end the battlefield tapped. Visions will tick down to 3. Overturf will draw. Picked up a Lightning Bolt.
And that's got to make it pretty easy.
Yep.
Either as a way to finish off Liliana or a way to protect himself from Raging Ravine attacking next turn.
Checking to make sure Terminate's still down there. It is. So here's the main phase Snapcaster Mage. Get back Terminate. Take that down. Now he will have to tap, I think, different mana. No, he... What? Don't have a great look. Might have to pause it really quickly here.
Two steam vents to cast a Snapcaster. Watery Grave plus Mountain for the Terminate.
Okay, got it.
Swamp for Tasigur.
Got it. All right, we're good. Baugh going to sacrifice a Bloodstained Mire here. Clear for takeoff. There's an Overgrown Tomb. Jacob without any cards in hand and just a Liliana. Bunch of different lands on the battlefield, the most relevant being the Raging Ravine. But he is cardless until he takes a draw for the turn. And you can just see how Ancestral Vision kind of affects the matchup like this.
Yep. I mean, it's the perfect card for this kind of matchup. It's a slugfest, goes on for a long time. A lot of cards just sort of trade off. And as long as Overturf can keep the board fairly stable, eventually Ancestral is going to give him a huge advantage.
This is Tarmogoyf. Liliana is moving on up. Overturf will have to discard a card. He'll discard a Spell Snare. Now he's tapped out. It's like, what? But he is tapped out, so he can't Spell Snare the Tarmogoyf.
My guess is 5/6.
Yeah, I think he nailed it.
4 normal card types plus Planeswalker.
Vision's down to 2. Overturf will draw. Timely. There is a Terminate. Don't need that Tarmogoyf die anymore. Here come the beatdowns. Activate Raging Ravine, perhaps.
Yeah, and you can see Overturf sitting on the bolt, so.
Psst, that's dead too.
You and your friends.
Yeah. You and your friends are dead. And Jacob Baugh got to get another draw step here as Ryan does resolve his Serum Visions, but I think Ryan's played a pretty good 2 games here.
Yep. I mean, definitely understood his role in the matchup.
Jacob will play a Dark Confidant.
Let the blue cards do their thing.
Yep, exactly. Ryan will attack with everything. There's a block. Baugh going to fall down to, I think, exactly 3. Lightning Bolt will take care of it. Ryan Overturf going to win this match here over Jacob Baugh. 2-0. Grixis Delver going to knock Jun down a peg. Overturf, we can't make fun of him. He's 5-0, Patrick.
I can still